Hey everybody, it's Eric from epautos.com, your Libertarian car guy, and I'm doing a walk around here of this 2015 BMW X4. X4, it's a new model for BMW. They're slicing their product portfolio ever thinner, coming up with new various submodels, and they call this a sports activity coupe. Of course, obviously, it has more than two doors. It's got four doors and it's got a hatchback. And essentially what it is a sportier version of the X3 with which it shares a platform and more or less the same drivetrains. The gas 2.0 and the gas 3-liter turbo 6 are the engines in this vehicle, with an 8-speed automatic and standard X-Drive all-wheel drive, programmed to be a bit more sporty in this application than the X3. The X3 also still has a diesel engine, which is not yet available in this thing. Some interesting stuff about it. It has the same clearance, 8 inches, as the X3, so it's got that higher off the ground seating position and also that additional snow day clearance that's desirable in a crossover or an SUV, what people like about these vehicles. But, and here we get into the coupe stuff, it actually sits several inches, about 2-something inches lower overall than the X3, and of course it has this radically sloping roof line here and this fastback rear end, which in the X3 of course is more squared off. So on the upside you do get the back seat, which you don't get in something like a 2 Series coupe, real coupe with 2 doors. The headroom's a little bit tighter, there's a bit less legroom, but you do have a usable back seat. And excuse the rooster, we're out here in the woods. In a similar vein, now if it'll let me open, I don't have the key with me for safety. Oh, these modern cars. Let me see if I can get it to open without having to run inside and get the key for the car. Safety. Safety. I hate safety. As you know, at epautos.com we don't like safety. Alright, here we go. And it has that foot swipe deal where you can foot swipe and open up the cargo area. So you've got a fairly generous cargo area here. It's not as much as in the X3, and of course the sloped roofline means that you can't put quite as tall objects in there. Nonetheless, this is a decent sized cargo area. If you look at that, you drop those seats and you could fit a bicycle in here, and you could fit a bunch of other stuff in here, gym bags, you know, all kinds of stuff. Which you can't do in a 2 Series coupe. You could do it in an X3, but then you wouldn't have the athletic performance. And speaking of which, it's kind of interesting. I got to digging into the stats, and while the 2.0 4-cylinder engine, 240 horsepower, and the optional turbo inline 6, 300 horsepower, have identical horsepower ratings to the same engines that are used in the X3, the X4, despite being somewhat heavier by about 100 pounds, is actually quicker, and that's really interesting. So I think one of two things is true. Either BMW has fudged on the horsepower a little bit and tweaked the 2 and the 3-liter 6 in the X4 to be more powerful than they are in the X3, or the more aerodynamic profile of the car, you can see, gives it an advantage at speed, and it may just be that. These vehicles, the X4 and the X3, actually have identical rear axle ratios, similar wheel and tire packages, so mechanically there's just not that much difference, and it's kind of hard to account for the fact that this one's significantly quicker than the X3. Anyway, let's take a look at the inside. Whereas the outside is a fairly radical look for BMW, the inside here is very quote-unquote BMW, very similar to what you find in any other current BMW. The iDrive mouse input has been simplified and made much more user-friendly than it used to be. I like the fact that a lot of the secondary controls here are still manual buttons, like the seat, boom, just push it, boom, just push it. I've got a new Acura TLX behind this thing that I'm going to review after this thing. And in that one, to turn the seat heaters on, you have to go through the touchscreen menu, push this, punch that, and it's a little bit of a hassle. I think this works well. I also like the analog gauge cluster here. It's modern, but it's old school at the same time, and of course very readable, very straightforward. Who needs all the digital junk? Frankly, I don't. Really, the only thing that I don't particularly like and this is general BMW criticism. Here's your center console. I mean, it's really tiny. There's not much storage space. A lot of it is eaten up by this phone pad thing. And your inputs, here's your USB port and your other 12-point power point. Really awkward. I don't know how you're supposed to hook up your USB device while the vehicle's moving, or even like I'm sitting in the thing now and it's parked. And it's just awkward. I have to rotate my left arm around and plug it in. That's dumb. I don't know why they didn't put it here, somewhere like in here. This is where it ought to be. There's this blob of plastic here. I don't know why it has to be there. If I were the BMW engineering department, I would reconfigure it so that your USB ports and so on are here rather than here. That is one of my very few gripes. That, and this is just subjective, I'm not a big, huge fan of these E-shifters that are becoming really popular, especially in higher-end cars. It's a tap system, and it's functionally okay, but there's very little tactile feedback, and for a quote-unquote driver's car, I would like to have something that's more involving, that you feel like you're engaging in gear. Even better in this thing, it would be awesome if they would put a 6-speed manual in this thing, but they don't. BMW is overtly trying to push away from automatics. BMW executive recently made comments along the lines of, they only offer it because of the sticks in the mud out there like me who still prefer to shift their own gears. And he's right. The new automatics do shift more efficiently. They get better mileage. They're more consistent, yada, yada, yada. But a manual is just more fun. That's the bottom line. I really like this nice brushed metal finish applique that they put in here. Very tastefully done, very nicely done. The leather in these BMWs, especially with the cross-colored stitching, very attractive, very nicely laid out. Classy looking car. Whether you like the looks, heck, that's up to you. But the functionality of it is hard to knock. Right now, really the only other vehicle in this class that's directly similar or comparable is the Land Rover Evoque. And the Evoque is a little bit of an older design. It was the first quote-unquote coupe SUV crossover, and it actually is available in two-door, so it legitimately is a coupe. But it's an older design. It's only available with a turbocharged 2-liter 4. There is no optional upgrade, as there is in this one. It's slower than this thing. It's slower than this thing with the 2-liter engine. And its gas mileage is not, it's slightly better by about 1 mile per gallon, both city and highway. It is a bit cheaper though, it's about $3,000 or $4,000 less. On the other hand, Land Rovers have had issues lately with quality control, reliability, and so on, whereas BMWs seem to be pretty squared away. So anyway, that is the end of my walk around. I will have the review up on the site probably later today. And please stop by and leave your comments. And if you have any pictures or videos of terrible drivers, please submit them to us. We have a whole section on the website devoted to what we call clovers. Look on the left-hand side of the page. And if you don't know the inside baseball, what a clover is, look on the right side of the main page of EP Autos, and you will get the explanation for that. So we will catch up with you next week, I guess, when we go and take a look around that 2015 Acura TLX. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.